Hey, what's up everybody, it's Charleston and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And boy, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about today, so make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now, going into this season, everyone, including Vegas, was very high on the Los Angeles Lakers this season. While some of us out here were a little bit worried about all of the hype surrounding this team, because they made some acquisitions that I think some of us couldn't really make sense out of. If you remember, the Lakers traded for KCP, Kyle Kuzma, and Montrezl Harrell, and their 2021 first round pick for Russell Westbrook last July. We all remember that. And after that trade went through, many people in the media out there were up there selling wishes and dreams, man. They were telling you, oh, y'all don't even know. You don't even know what's about to happen right now. Oh, the Lakers are good. They're going to be the favorites to come out of all of these different things, because they were not looking at this thing from a basketball standpoint. Instead, they were just looking at the amalgamation of names on the roster. They were like, oh, all of these players, there's no way this team will lose. They have 3 top 75 players. They have 5 Hall of Famers at the time, maybe 6 when they picked up Rajon Rondo, because Rajon Rondo was going to go into the Hall of Fame. And after that trade went through, they were dancing it up and kumbayaing it up. But after the first 20 games that the Lakers played, and they had a 10-10 record, some people were still out there talking about, oh no, wait a minute, you got to give it some more time. Are we really going to talk about the Lakers after just 20 games? What happened? 10, 20, 30 games went by. People were still out there selling wishes and selling dreams. But now, after 61 games played, the Lakers are sitting in the 9th seed. Not even sitting, let me use the word that I used yesterday. They're lounging in the 9th seed in the Western Conference with a 27-34 record. And now it seems as if, according to reports, that Russell Westbrook and the Lakers are looking to part ways this summer, according to a report that we got from CBSSports.com. So what we want to do here is quickly get into this article and then come back and give you guys our thoughts. So the article starts off with the headline: Russell Westbrook Lakers have mutual interest in finding point guard a new team this offseason, per report. It continues on. Russell Westbrook shot 5 of 17 from the field on Tuesday in a disappointing 109-104 loss to the Dallas Mavericks. That performance was hardly an outlier. Westbrook has, on 12 occasions, finished games with more turnovers than he had made field goals. He has been benched late in several games due to his poor play, and his plus-minus against the Mavericks was -8, which was greater than the outcome the Lakers lost by 5 points. At 27-34, any slim hopes of the Lakers still held for contention are fading fast. It continues on. The Houston Rockets were interested in a potential trade for Russell Westbrook and John Wall at the trade deadline, provided the Lakers provided adequate draft compensation. But according to Fisher, those talks didn't generate significant traction. At the time, rumors suggested that the Rockets wanted 2027 first-round pick from the Lakers, or at least the rights to two swap picks that season. The Lakers were legally able to trade only 1 first round at the deadline and decided to nix that. While the offseason arrives, the 7 years rule will allow the Lakers access to the 2029 first-round pick for trade purposes, and Russell Westbrook himself will be on an expiring contract. That will make him far more tradable as time goes on. And it seems as if you basically read that article, it seems as if the Lakers and Russell Westbrook are looking to part ways. That's basically essentially what the article is saying. You guys can go to CBSSports.com and read it there for yourself. But first of all, let me say this. Bravo to Russell Westbrook for having enough sense to say that, listen, I think it's time for me to leave this situation and leave this team. Bravo to him, because it clearly wasn't working. He just hasn't been any good for the Lakers this season. And if you look at his regular season stats, I'm just going to quickly go over his regular season stats here at a quick glance. This season, he's averaging 18 points per game, which is fine, 4 points down from last season. But the issue is he's only shooting 43% from the field, which is a little bit less than 43.2, which is a little bit less than last season. His three-point shooting percentage is down from 31.5 last season, which is horrendous for a point guard, to 28.6% this season. He's shooting 67% from the free throw line, which isn't good as as an NBA player, especially as a point guard. He is, however, getting you 7.7 rebounds and 7.3 assists, but he's averaging 4 turnovers a game, so the net is probably 3 assists per game. Listen, those numbers just aren't any good. Those are not winning numbers. You just can't win. And one of the issues that Russell Westbrook was going to have when he came to the Lakers was that he wasn't a good floor spacer. This is why I was so surprised why so many people were basketball analysts were so high on this team. How can you be high? Were you looking at their starting five? In their starting five, who was the best shooter? Anthony Davis, probably. Who's the other person that was supposed to be there? Trevor Ariza, but he didn't start. He was the only other guy that was supposed to give you floor spacing. So if you have Russell Westbrook, who's a terrible perimeter shooter, Russell Westbrook has only shot over 40% from the floor. I think 10 feet and under the basket. That's it. He's never shot above 40% from the floor from any distance further than that. Then you have LeBron James, who will not space the floor. You have Anthony Davis. What's the most he's going to do? Pick and pop on those screen rolls, and then maybe hit some mid-range jump shots. That's about it. The Lakers had no floor spacing, so I was just so perplexed when people were so high on this team. I'm like, how's this going to work from a basketball standpoint? There's no spacing on the floor, right? So obviously, you should have expected this to happen, but nevertheless, people out there saying whatever it is. And to me, I think obviously it's good that Russell Westbrook wants to lead the team. I think that's good. But I think it's also another example. And some people hate it when I say this, but I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to say what I think. You're not going to put a muzzle on me. If you don't like what I'm saying, don't watch. Simple as that. But I think it's actually another example of the effect that LeBron James has on certain players. LeBron, in my personal opinion, does more harm to players' games than he does good. And the people you can look at, the prime examples of that you can look at are Kevin Love. Kevin Love's game deteriorated when he started playing with LeBron. He was a 25 and like a 12 player. Kevin Love, Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh essentially was turned into a spot-up shooter. Anthony Davis, and now Russell Westbrook. The only exception to this is to these players was Kyrie Irving. Why? Because Kyrie Irving was a flat-out scorer. And Kyrie Irving actually put up better numbers when he stopped playing with LeBron. If you look at Kyrie Irving's numbers last season, when he was playing alongside Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving had a career year. He shot 50. He had a 50, 40, 90 season. And he was playing with Kevin Durant. Why? Because Kevin Durant is a great shooter, so he can provide spacing, and Kevin Durant is excellent at scoring without the ball in his hand. LeBron is not, right? He's not really a great shooter. He's not good at moving without the ball and scoring. He has to have the ball in his hand and pound it and pound it and pound it and pound it for him to be effective. If you look at other scorers that are excellent scorers, that's why people talk about, LeBron's the best scorer than Kobe. LeBron has played longer than Kobe. LeBron had a higher regular season average when he came into the NBA. If you go look at Kobe Bryant when he really started getting good, he had higher scoring seasons. That's why he has more scoring titles. If you look at any great scorer, they can score from the mid-range and they can score without the ball in their hand. They can move around. They can score while on the move. If you look at Kobe Bryant, go look at Michael Jordan, go look at Kevin Durant, go look at Kawhi Leonard, look at how these guys, look at Kyrie Irving. They're not just dribbling the ball and calling for a pick and going around. No, they move without the ball. And that's one of the reasons why it's so easy to play with a player like Kevin Durant, play with a player like Kawhi Leonard and others, because these guys don't dominate the ball. That's the reason why. So when people get into all of that stuff, they don't really know what the hell they're talking about. You can tell that by what they're saying. They're just looking at counting. So, well, he scored more points. And look how, because you got to look at how a guy is playing. If you put Kevin Durant on the Los Angeles Lakers, trust me, they're a much better team than they are now. Much, much better. Because Kevin Durant can do so many things from the perimeter. He can space the floor a lot better. Right? So to me, listen, good for Russell Westbrook for wanting to part ways with the Lakers. Unfortunately, your legacy just got even worse.